Good morning. I'm so sorry to interrupt you while you're socializing and getting to know each other and enjoying your time, but I need to make you uncomfortable for a moment. Those of you who were hired after January 16, we need you to move closer to the front. We have seats for you right here, the second and third row. Yes, ma'am, right here on this side. Big January 18th. No, January 16th of this year. Thank you. So if you became a family member after January 16th of this year, if you'll have a seat on row 2 and 3 here. Thank you.
Oh, do you have another one? Good. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fall 2018 Convocation. First thing, oops, we got some background music. Maybe we could dim that down. You know, there was so much active conversation, I didn't even hear the music. First thing you noticed is we have a little abbreviated agenda today. And I will tell you that was after listening to a lot of individuals, and I think it was after our 8-hour or so convocation last time, we decided we are going to really streamline things, get it down to 2 hours, cover the really critical information that everybody needs at the start of the year. And we're also going to do a little bit more of this, where we are sharing information via email or pamphlets, so you can look at it if you want to. If you don't want to look at it, you know what you can do with it, but it's important information, so look at it. I did say that. I didn't say all of it. I also wanted to let you know we are also looking at expenses, and besides being lean time-wise, we want it to be lean monetary-wise. So we have sodas in the back and water in the back. We forwent breakfast this morning with a later start time. So we're just also being very mindful of our funding for these different events. We're going to start today with some recognitions and awards. And the first award we're going to be taking a look at is Emeritus Status. And some of you are familiar with Emeritus Status, some of you might not be familiar with it. But the Emeritus title can only be conferred by the Board of Regents. And so it's done only 4 times a year at the Board of Regents meetings, and it's given for meritorious service upon retirement. Now that has a little asterisk, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. It's based on a comprehensive consideration of an employee's entire service, which has to be 10 years or more. And I think most importantly, it's not just for doing one thing really well and then nothing else. It's really looking at a career pattern of distinguished service. So this is really a significant award. And besides that, you get free parking on this campus for the rest of your life. So we have 3 awards today. And the first one is if I could have Dr. Nigliazzo join me up front, and looking for, I know he's here today, Mr. Bloom. Yes. I'm going to read what the plaque says. The honor is on behalf of the Board of Regents of the Texas A&M University System, bestowed upon Mr. Stephen R. Bloom, the title of, here we go, Director of Information Technology Services Emeritus. Put that on your signature line now.
How?
And all rights and privileges as of February 8th, 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh. Yes, you're going to need 2 lines on your email signature line. Yes. Would you like
Steve looks so relaxed this morning. I almost didn't recognize him. Good to see you.
Would you like to say, I know you love
Oh, come on.
Tell us about retirement.
Retirement is great. I don't need a microphone.
All right.
Retirement's great. It's definitely not a stop and rest time. I think the one person I see all the time is Sean. I see him down at home base, getting stuff to work on the house and work on the yard. It's been good though. And go fishing. Yeah, Alaska deep sea fishing, halibut, salmon. Back east to see my kids, my granddaughter. Yeah, it's been. And do I miss the shop? Yes. And no.
You miss the people.
I miss the people. I don't miss the
Yes.
But
Congratulations.
thank you.
Our next emeritus is for Dr. Steve McNett. Dr. McNett, also retired, is on vacation. And I think he is golfing, if you know Dr. McNett at all. He has been given the title of Associate Lecturer Emeritus. Is Dr. Kulk here? Rusty, why don't you come up and you can accept his certificate on behalf of Dr. McNett, and I know you're going to get together with your department later on to present it to him. Pardon? No, that's Dr. McNett. Yes.
Does this mean I get to be retired?
Wrong name on it. No, sir. No retirement. Now, I mentioned the asterisk about being retired, and this is one of the things that our Board of Regents does because people with administrative titles will go in and out of positions. And many of you know that Dean Larry Garner is stepping down as dean and returning to full-time faculty starting this fall. And so his faculty nominated him for Dean Emeritus Status. Just went to the Board of Regents on 8/16/18. The reason I put this down is it was just approved last week, so they haven't sent us a certificate. They haven't even signed it yet. Hasn't even been printed yet. So I'd like to have Dean Garner just come up front so we can congratulate you on the Dean Emeritus Status. Congratulations. And this is the first Dean Emeritus we have at the university. So, first founding dean, first Dean Emeritus. Congratulations. Would you like to say a word?
Yeah, I'm not really going away. I'm going to be around. Okay. Just a little slow down roll and just ease out over the next few years. Thank you.
And the great thing is in spring, when we finally have the certificate, we're going to bring him back up and actually present him with the certificate. All right, now I'd like to turn the microphone over to Dr. Kelly Cood for distinguished graduate faculty. Can I hold these for you?
Thank you. Maybe I should have said no.
No, yeah.
So, oh, yay. I hadn't seen you yet. I was worried. Can I have Dean Jones come up as well? So our first one today, Dr. Michelle Dietert, and on behalf of the Graduate Council, it's our distinct pleasure to award Distinguished Graduate Faculty Status to Dr. Michelle Dietert. Thank you. Yep. I gotta put it on here. Oh, okay. And I want to see it every graduation.
I'll just wear it every day.
Oh, that's fine too. Yeah. Do you want to say anything?
Well, I wasn't really expecting this, so thank you so much. Appreciate it, you know.
I'll give you the certificate, Jerry. I'll give you the certificate. And then finally, Dr. Christopher Thron.
Thank you.
It's like y'all get pictures first.
Well, it's been good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
A man of few words, but a brilliant scholar. All right. Now comes my favorite part, our new tradition of the introduction of new faculty and staff at the university who have come on board as of our last convocation, which was January 16th, 2018. So would all the new faculty and staff come right up front and just line up right here. We know who you are. Excellent. And continue all the way down there. I think we got a long line this time. Stretch out, make yourself comfortable. All right. So this is one of the ways we have, you can see we've got a lot of new warriors today, and we want to get to know you a little bit better. Doesn't help you get to know all of us yet, but at least we know that you're new. We could come up and touch base with you. So here's what I want each of you to do. Share your name, where you're currently working, what you're doing, and then something interesting about yourself. Nothing X-rated. Nothing really gross, like if you're an avid runner and your toenail turned black and it started falling off. We don't need to hear that either. But share something about yourself, your family, just something that we can remember and touch base with you about. So I'm going to start. I know. You see, people always think I'm going to start up there. There you go.
My name is Linda. My name is Melanie Mason, and I'm the admin with the COBA department. And I can't tell y'all much about myself because you already told me not to do it.
Hi, I'm Susan Clapper, and I am the assistant to the dean at COBA. My name is Linda, too. And I just recently moved here from California to be closer to my daughter, who has 3 of my grandchildren, and I think that's it. I don't admit I'm from California to everyone, because Texas isn't friendly to them.
This is a safe room.
Hi, my name is Tia Hadley. I'm the new HR assistant. Something interesting about me, I just had a baby 3 months ago. So yeah, that's about it though. That's the only thing that's interesting.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leila Arujeva, and I'm an assistant professor of management. I just came here from Denton, Texas, so just 3 hours from here. And I have a preschooler son, so I'm full-time mom, full-time faculty, full-time housekeeper, everything.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal Messina Ferreira. I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment Undergraduate Admissions here at A&M. And I suppose an easy one is I have 4 dogs and 2 cats, so a lot of animals and no kids yet, but one day, it'll be a full house.
I'm Jeanette Campbell. She's my supervisor. So, I can't say too much. Something interesting. I don't know. I'm a very interesting person. I travel, I ride motorcycles, I ride horses, I do all sorts of things. So I really can't focus on one area. I'm just all-around person.
Great.
Good morning. I'm Christopher White. I'm a missions counselor.
He works with us too.
It's my boss and my co-workers. I started at Student Affairs. I love Student Affairs. Thank y'all for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a warrior and work with you all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tondra Honey, and all 4 of us actually work in the undergraduate admissions, and 3 of us actually came from Central Texas College to be a part of the Warrior family. A couple of interesting facts about myself: I have 5 kids, and even though my last name is Honey, my parents raised bees, and I think that that says something. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Shea. I'm the new education librarian, so I'll be helping out our College of Education and Psychology people. And something interesting about me is I love to rollerblade all around town when I have free time.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Carl Yankee, and I am an assistant professor in the College of Education and Curriculum and Instruction. I've been fortunate enough since I've been here in a short amount of time to move from visiting professor to tenure track to now program coordinator. So something interesting and funny about me is I have a 5-year-old son, and so everything that happens is either interesting or funny or catastrophic. So he was talking about getting married the other day at his daycare. And so he came home and very proudly told me, "Dad, when I get old enough, I'm going to get married." And I said, "Well, that's great, Travis. I'm so happy for you that you want to do that." And he said, "And when you get old enough, you can get married."
I have no idea how to top that. My name is Robert Tennant. I'm an accounting professor in COBA. And something interesting about me is, let's see, in my undergraduate, I have a bachelor's degree in fine art photography. That's not something you associate with people who are accountants, typically.
Hi, my name is Sandy Blackwell. I have worked here for 4 years in the tutoring center. I'm losing my voice, so excuse me. And now I was hired by the psychology department as an adjunct professor, which I'm really excited about. And I have a lot of professors to thank for my career here. And I have 3, well, I say I have 3. I have 2 boys and a granddaughter, but I look at her as my baby. And I also work as a behaviorist at CTBS, which keeps me in line with the kiddos, someone at my height and age capacity. I really enjoy doing that, and I'm excited to come on here in a new capacity and to work with those that I've already gotten to know. So thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Rahul Dwivedi, and I'm joining here from UT Arlington as a new faculty in the COBA CIS department. I have 2 kids, and I hope it will be a good learning experience here as a growing university, and I hope I will be a productive member of this community. And yeah, that's it.
Hi, I'm Caroline Norris. I am part of the counseling psychology department, and I'm also the clinic director of the Community Counseling and Family Therapy Clinic. I've been practicing that for a month. And an interesting fact is I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas. And a while ago, I used to be a surfer. And in Corpus Christi, we have the pleasure of being able to surf with dolphins on the time that the weather permits. So that was something I used to enjoy way, 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 way back. So.
Morning, family. My name is Marcus. I come from the Network Enterprise Center on Post. I'm the new system administrator in the IT services department. And I would say an interesting thing about me, I would say the amount of sleep that I get. I have a daughter I had a few months ago. So it's not much sleep. as you know. So I'm from Galveston, and glad to be part of the family now.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Hill. Oh, wow. I spent 25 years of my time at University of Texas at Austin, retired a year ago, went on vacation for a year, and decided that I had to come back and be with my students. So my primary role at UT was graduate studies, and now I'm the program specialist in the graduate studies office. And I love working with students, recruiting, bringing students in. That's my passion. One of the most interesting things about me also, I am a mental health first aid teacher. So on weekends, I go and I train police officers. Whoever need training in mental health first aid, that's my passion. My daughter is an adult living with autism, and she's the most amazing individual that you could ever meet. Thank you.
My name is Michaela Plouf. I work in the counseling and psychology department as an administrative assistant. Many know me for a lot of years here because I'm a student and still a student, so you can get me out. I'm originally from Germany, and I have 2 boys, and one just graduated from UT. So, and he moved to actually LA. So I guess I'm gonna get to see the other side of the country soon.
Hello, my name is Levi McClendon. I'm in the counseling and psychology department. See something interesting. A couple things. The last time I was in Killeen, I was sleeping on the ground because I'm prior service military. So I'm really excited to be here and not have to be out in the field somewhere eating an MRE. That is really cool. So I think that's number one. I think number 2 is I have 2-year-old twins who keep me very busy. I totally get the whole sleep thing. Oh my gosh.
I'm Amy Taggart. I'm Dr. Close's administrative assistant. I'm kind of boring. Former military police in the Air Force, and so I'm a veteran, and I'm married to active duty service member, and I was a canine handler. So, yes.
Hi, good morning. My name is Amanda Olson, and I'm the coordinator for career and professional development. One interesting thing about me is that I absolutely love to read, and with that comes an extensive collection of signed first edition books.
My name is John Kohler. I'm a new assistant professor in political science and public administration. I came from Auburn University. One interesting thing about me is actually a nice lady walking through the door noticed that I was wearing a Jerry Garcia tie, and says her husband wears them too. I have about 100. That's about all I wear, a Jerry Garcia tie, so I'm easily recognizable, and it kind of showcases how I really like music, mainly classic rock and blues. So growing up in South Florida, I've gone to several hundred big name concerts, and I'm living in North Austin now, so I'm really looking forward to enjoying the music scene. So if anybody's interested, I'll hang out, but I got a 3-year-old, so not too often.
Good morning, everybody. I am Gunisha Sagar, and I'll be working as an adjunct faculty in biology department. My fun thing besides working is to play with my 7-year-old after school, and just to take care of him, and there's no more time left to do anything. So that's it.
Thank you. Morning, my name's Ann Sluin. I just moved here on Tuesday. So I came in from Copenhagen Business School. I've been living, although I grew up as a child in Ohio, so don't hold the northern part of me against me, but I've been spending pretty much the last 21, 22 years of my life out of the US, so I'm returning. I'm really happy to be back. The last time I was in Killeen, that could be interesting, was about a decade ago. My sister serves in the military, and I was here for her pre-deployment ceremony. Yeah, but I'm glad to be here. Oh, and I forgot, I work at COBA, and I'm a new assistant professor in international business and sustainability. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Milagros Rodriguez. I work at the registrar's office as a records associate. I used to work at CTC too, and I'm from Puerto Rico.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Rodriguez. We are related. So also came from Puerto Rico, CTC, started the registrar's office, and now I'm undergraduate admissions transcript analyst.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Long. I'm new to the Department of Nursing,
And I have had the opportunity to work with Carolyn over the last few months and have worked with her in recruiting over several years, so we had that relationship. And I've known Katie, who's new to the Department of Nursing. So I'm really happy to be here. I feel like I'm among friends, so I'm really glad to be here. On a personal note, I have 3 nurse children. 2 are nurse practitioners, and 1 is an educator, a new educator this fall. So there's some good influence there.
I'm Katie Sanders. I am a new assistant professor and director of the nursing program, so happy to be here. I am originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico, so but been in Texas for almost 15 years. I also have a 15-year-old daughter, so losing sleep for a whole different set of reasons than the rest of you, but still losing sleep. The other interesting fact, my husband is from Roswell, and there are days when we're not entirely sure that he is a resident of this planet.
My name is Greg Bourgeois. I work in undergrad admissions as an admission counselor. I've been retired from the military now 22 days, and I like my job a lot better here.
Robert Zinko, I teach over in the business school. Something interesting is I coach female roller derby, which technically is a nonprofit, so I believe it's external service. So.
Thank you. Let's give our newest warriors a big round of applause. You guys can go back and sit wherever you'd like to now. All right, with that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Dr. Carter Horn. If you can get up.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to take the time to go over a few things that are going on in the Division of Finance and Administration, talk about a little bit about compliance and some things that are going to be happening. With everything that's been going on in the news lately with Title IX issues, sexual assault, sexual harassment, those type of things, we will be giving heightened awareness, greater emphasis will be placed on that. And so we'll see some information coming out of the A&M system, and more details will be coming forward from our University Compliance Office and staff. In the area of email security, we've had a lot of phishing schemes going on. And so as a result of ITS, Information Technology Services, has added external to, you may have noticed that, to your incoming emails that have been outside of A&M Central Texas. And so the University Tech Advisory Council is going to continue to monitor this, to look at different ways that we can improve upon this to minimize the number of phishing schemes. And in addition to email, individuals are now being creative and looking at ways to use social media, telephone, and even face-to-face. So just, a word of caution, just to be cautious about what you're opening, what sites you're visiting, et cetera. And then on that same level, just as a note of caution, just to be aware, sometimes we will forward work emails to our personal email addresses. Just wanted to caution everyone that probably should not do that, because as a result of, when you forward those things and there's a trail, if there should be come to a point of litigation or any type of open records request or hold, your personal emails can become subject to that if you begin to forward those work emails to your personal emails, so just keep that in mind. Syncplicity is the system-wide standard for web-based file sharing. It's something that we have here at Central Texas, and it's encouraged that you use that tool instead of Dropbox or others, because we've got built-in securities within that software. You may have noticed, in fact, I know Karen did this, notice when you log into single sign-on, you may have to now go through two-factor authentication. That's going to be something that's going to be required across the A&M system as a whole. And so IT Services is going to be working with our Tech Advisory Council to develop an implementation plan for other items within our information technology portal. As far as Heritage Hall, everything is on schedule and ready to turn over. We'll start moving people in at the last week of October. Substantial completion has now been pushed because of some installation issues. So it was supposed to be August 31st. It may be mid-September before that happens, but we're still on point to get employees in that building at the last week of October, and still looking at the date of when we can hold that grand opening celebration. As far as the legislative and LAR is concerned, our legislative appropriations request was submitted in this month. The first round of that, as soon as we complete the annual financial report, then we'll have to submit round 2 of that in October, and then the fun will begin. FY19 budget is going to be released later on this month, first part of September, due to Workday and all of the things that surround that. We've had some issues on the personnel side, and this is system-wide. So we'll get that budget out to you as soon as possible. And as far as Workday is concerned, just want to give a general reminder that if your performance evaluations are not complete, please get those completed. I know HR will be sending out reminders to those that need to get those completed. And we also ask that you log into Workday and update your personal profile to reflect your work information instead of your personal information. What we've been finding is that a lot of employees are using their personal email address instead of their work email address. So in order to help us populate an active directory that's up to date and current, we ask that you log into Workday and take care of that and change that over. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carter Horn. Now I'd like to turn the microphone over to Dr. Russ Porter.
This one, there we go. To those of you who are new, welcome. To those of you who are not new, welcome back. I was told I had 15 minutes, so I know I can get it to 3 hours. And I do enjoy teaching, and I try not to go off script. But anyway, we're going to go through a lot of what Office of Research does for those of you who are new. But because it is shorter, I'm going to just stick to some highlights. The Office of Research has 3 foci in terms of what we do. We concentrate on research, obviously. We'll be talking about that. Economic development, especially with the community, and also off-campus academic development to help the academic side of the house. And so the areas that are in red are what I'm going to be highlighting. I'm going to start at the end first and go back to research at the last. Off-campus academic development, in terms of what we're doing there, is we have an off-campus academic development council that is made up of faculty and staff and community members. And what some of you may not know is we actually work with 15 different organizations to try to look at and assess what types of new programs, or are the programs we're currently doing something that the community really needs. So we support the academic side of the house to do a lot of upfront assessment to determine, do we need to still do this? Can we look at something new? So it's a great council. Individuals working on that spend a lot of time helping us do that assessment. The next area is something new. It's been around for a little less than a year, and Mr. Francis Legere is in charge of this as our artist in resident. And it's really helpful, especially in the research side, for our new music program. And I don't want to take the provost's thunder if she's going to be talking about it. She's saying, oh, okay, so I'm going to take another 20 to talk about that. But no, the new music program is really wonderful to have here, and we are helping that program with the research side. And also the marketing through the off-campus academic development. If some of you have been to the luncheon concerts we've had, free pizza and Coke, and you get to listen to some really good music as well. The last one we had music from both the classics all the way through the Beatles. So it was a really fun concert. And then we've had, so far, a formal concert. And the next concert we're planning for our UCheck site down in Hutto, East Williamson Higher Education Center.
In the economic development highlights, what we want to stress is our University Economic Development Council to plan with our local community and Central Texas Chambers of Commerce and Economic Development programs. And our three goals that we're concentrating on is our research park. We have support from the community through organizations such as 14 Forward that raised almost $2 million to really help the Central Texas area with economic development, and part of that funding is looking at how we can bring the research park here. It is a private-public or public-private enterprise to bring the different types of businesses, not only here in the Central Texas area, to concentrate on research with faculty and staff and our students, but also can we bring new businesses here. So it's a wonderful program. We're working with the system on that as well. We help support the new program that has been approved so far through the Board of Regents. Again, I won't take the Provost's thunder, but in terms of helping the Mechanical Engineering Technology program. And we're very grateful for having wonderful collaboration with CTC to get that off the ground, and working with our own chemical engineer, Dr. Taylor Harvey, and helping get that through. We also help the economic and workforce development, working with TEACS and TEAS, which are part of the system, to bring different types of workforce development and jobs to this area, as well as with the system around the state. And then the last part I'd like to talk about is the research highlights. These are all the areas that we actually have within the research office to support your traditional institutional review board. Dr. Anitha Chenamanini, really need to say thank you to her. That's a job that is 24/7. I see her emails all the time. I do get about 3 hours sleep because I'm always worrying how she's doing, and I know that she's always on the job doing that. So we appreciate her time helping get human subjects research done correctly. And then we also have the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee. Dr. Laura Weiser-Lanson is working on when that's most appropriate to bring to this university. What I stress is you can do whatever you want to invertebrates. You can mash them, mix them, stomp on them, whatever. But when it comes to vertebrates, be nice, but don't bring them here because we can't do that research yet. So talk to Laura Weiser-Lanson about, oh, she's given me the bad nonverbals. I'm sorry, Laura. Institutional Biosafety Committee. We are definitely looking way down the road on that one. Make sure you don't do any DNA or RNA research. If you're doing any genetics and you have some cloning, don't tell us about it. We don't want to know. All right. I will stick to the highlights, though. The University Center for Applied Research and Engagement is a program that was actually started by quite a few individuals in the College of Education, and Office of Research took that over about 2 years ago. And our Director of UCARE's position, currently held by our Director of Research Support, Dr. Walter Murphy, and we're wanting to have that as a permanent position. We did a search during the summer, but what we found was we really needed to increase the stipend. It's for full-time faculty, and if you're interested, please see me, because Dr. Walter Murphy, like most of us, have about 16 hats, and we'd like to get it down to about 15 hats for him and take that particular one off. It's a wonderful council in terms of helping the local community, but we're also expanding it into our NSF research with solar, and I'll be talking about that at the end. Office of Research also helps with a Council on Diversity and Inclusion, and you'll be getting more information coming up in September. We have 3 days that we're going to be concentrating on college access and acceptance. We've been fortunate to get the Undersecretary, or former Undersecretary of Education here, Dr. Martha Cantor, and she'll be here to talk about her College Promise program that really emphasizes access to community colleges, and then how can we have those individuals have access to universities. And we are the ideal program for that in university, so it's nice to have her talk about it. The last couple areas on grants and contracts, we continue to increase. 6 years ago, our external dollars were zero. I had nowhere to go but up. It was wonderful. I am not the only one doing all that. We have over 50% of our faculty and staff doing external grants now, and we just surpassed $2 million a year. The entire system just surpassed $1 billion a year with this little contract called Los Alamos at $2.2 billion. But they'll keep the B, we'll keep working on the M. But anyway, in terms of some announcements, one that we do need to stress if you're doing international travel, we have an export control form along with your international form, and Sean Kelly sends out emails. Please read those emails. They're rather long, but by the third or fourth time you read it, you might actually follow all of the instructions. The most important for export control is you now have to go to IT to talk to them and get their signature that you can indeed take any exportable controlled devices, or make sure that their export control reviewed on that particular form for your international travel. An exciting announcement is for research grants and contracts. We've had a form that you had to go through all kinds of signatures, and it was a little onerous, and we're going to keep that once you have a grant or contract so that we can make sure everybody knows about it. But we're going to start with a pre-grant form that will go through individuals that need to know, your supervisor, it's staff and faculty, all the way up through my office. But it also has on there who's getting the indirects. Indirects are nice. Those are those overhead amounts that you get when you get a grant. And one thing that we noticed in all the grants and contracts that we've had for the last 6 years in research, there was no indirects to the PI. So the person who actually got it said, okay, that's nice, thank you for taking all the indirects, but I personally am not getting anything for professional development or what I'm doing. So we changed that framework so that individuals who are the PI will now get 20% of the indirects. And so on a $100,000 grant, it can be anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000 or $8,000, and multiply that for every 100,000 you get. Those $1 million grants are really nice. The last thing I'd like to talk about is why do we have all these logos down here for those of you who are new. Our seminal NSF grant, and I say seminal because it's the only one we have, is a solar research grant that we are working with in conjunction with Texas A&M at College Station, but also Colorado State University and UT Austin. And so that's continuing. You'll see a solar demonstration site on the north part of campus, and you're going to be seeing some changes up there in some of the public-private partnerships we're doing. And if you're at all interested in doing any of that, it doesn't have to be solar panels, it can be education, it can be techno-economic cost-benefit analysis. Those are really fun. Let us know about those, and we'll put you in contact with the individuals doing the research. And if you're interested in looking at the best scanning electron microscope in the entire system, it's in Founders Hall 411, and see Dr. Taylor Harvey or Dr. Ida Tarabi. And until College Station gets a better one, we've got the best. Hoorah, Warriors, go.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. I'd like to give a brief review of what's going on in academic and student affairs. Last year was an incredibly busy year for curriculum and instruction, and Bridget, here being the chair of the University Curriculum Committee, knows how busy it was. But we actually have 6 new degree programs that are being implemented this fall. This is really important for everyone to know because as new degree programs, that word's not out in the community yet. So we have our Masters of Art in Teaching in the College of Ed, our Masters of Education and Higher Education Leadership, our Masters of Art in English. This one only took us 7 years to launch, so we're very happy to see that one. The Master of Science in One Planet Leadership. This is a very innovative program. It was a transformation of our MS in Management and Leadership program. I encourage you to take a little bit of time to look at that program. It's different, it's unique, and probably one of the few, not just in the United States, but in the world. We have finally our Bachelor's of Music program. I will tell you, I use abbreviation BMuse. Unfortunately, the coordinating board is not going to abbreviate it as BMuse. They just use BM. So I just want you to know there are 2 forms of this degree. They both mean the same thing. And then we have our Bachelor of Science in Exercise Physiology and Human Performance that's starting up. Now, we don't have any facilities yet, so it's going to be a very creative first semester, but classroom stuff. But next semester, it's going to be pretty amazing what the students are going to be exposed to. Now, the next programs, I'm saying with caution, because you'll see here, awaiting approval from SAC-COC. In other words, they're not approved yet. We can't do anything until SAC-COC says yes. But these 2 programs have been through our Board of Regents, have gotten approval. It's been through the coordinating board and gotten approval, so that it's in its final stage of review. We're not expecting any issues. These are 2 BAS degrees, a Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences and Information Technology. This degree was a real demand from CTC, and I think it's going to be a very popular degree. And we have our Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences in Criminal Justice. They're probably both good. The coordinating board approved both of them for a start date in fall of 19. I put a tentative date for spring for IT because I think there are a lot of courses that are already developed and you might have some students taking them, but officially they'll be on our degree list in fall of 19. And then we have 2 degree programs that just last week had approval from our Board of Regents. So that's a first level approval. So we have our Master of Science in Homeland Security and our Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering Technology that Dr. Porter had mentioned. These 2 degrees still have to be approved by the coordinating board and then SAC-COC, but they've made it through the first level of review. So this is just a huge, wonderful list of degrees we can add to our degree inventory. Now, we don't rest on our laurels ever in academic and student affairs. So these are some of the degree programs that I think will be coming up over the next 2 years. They are in varying stages of development. Some just have a thought. Some actually have a proposal. So we are looking at, and so this list might change, might mold, might develop, new degrees might pop in, but this is the ones we're starting to talk about over the next 2 years. Applied Arts and Sciences and Workforce Education Development, Applied Arts and Sciences and Psychology, Master of Public Administration, Master of Science and Sociology, and Master of Social Work. And there may, as I said, there may be more. Some of these might pop off the list, but that's probably where we're going. All right, I always like talking about achievements, and many of you know we were, for the first time ever, we were in U.S. News and World Report at the last convocation I mentioned, and we have another achievement in our online Master's in Management degree program, which was listed in the top 50 of online master's programs in management, recognized by the best schools. And what I liked about this, once again, this group takes a look at things I think are critically important when we're talking about quality of programs. They look at faculty-student ratio, the strength of the faculty scholarship, academic excellence in the school's curriculum, affordability, and finally, strength of online instructional methodology, all key factors in quality programs. And Dr. Loafman shared this with me, and I have to admit, I didn't know what he meant. He said, we are SHRM aligned. I'm like, what does this mean? So I did a little research last night, and I am really, really impressed by this. Yes, where are my... I know you're... I know, where are you, Dr.? Oh, there you are. Okay, great. So let me give you my understanding of this and correct me if I am wrong. There is a initial certification exam that students can be, there are actually 2 levels. The initial certification for most students, if you have a bachelor's degree in the discipline, which is human resource management, you would have to wait for at least 1 year and have 1 year of experience before you could even sit for the certification exam. Dr. McPherson has spent a lot of time aligning your curriculum to the SHRM standards. And after approval, what this allows, if your students are in good standing, they can actually take the certification exam after graduation. They don't have to wait that year, so they can be immediately certified, which gives them a step up on the job market. Did I cover that correctly? Is it before graduate they can take it? So they can graduate with certification then. Yes, it does. So that is huge. And thank you for your efforts there. That is really wonderful for our students, and I think you really need to talk about this. It's a great opportunity for our students. All right, I'm also pleased to announce I think, Brandon, this is our 3rd year in a row? 5th year in a row, okay. We have been designated as the 2018-2019 NASPA Lead Institution. Now, NASPA does not stand for what you think it stands for. They use abbreviations that don't relate to the titles, but this is a Student Affairs Administrators in Higher Education, and we were one of 4 institutions in the state of Florida which were recognized as a NASPA. Texas! Texas! Thank you. I'm not going to go back, trust me. I don't want to go back. Anyways, so we are one of 4 universities in Texas. There are a lot of universities in Florida who got this, not so many in Texas. Maybe that's what I was thinking. But anyway, just Baylor, San Antonio, University of Houston, and Texas Women's who received this recognition, and this demonstrates our excellence in having students being committed to helping students raise their civic knowledge, their civic engagement, their democratic participation, which is, as you know today, is really critical for our young student leaders. So, Student Affairs, congratulations. 5th time. I'm also pleased to announce this year's new group of Service Learning Fellows. Service Learning Fellows it's a competitive process. The Service Learning Fellows are involved in the program for an entire year. They spend time with myself, they spend time with Dr. Lewing, they have a lot of readings in service learning. They, in essence, develop an expertise in service learning, which is a high impact practice. And as they develop it, their project is for spring to develop a service learning course, which will go through an outside approval that they can offer. So could I have Dr. Bowles and Dr. Chen and Ms. Molina just stand up so we can recognize you for your accomplishments. There are 7 major high-impact practices, and our QEP is also taking a look at some of these. But a lot of them are based on working with freshmen. So this is one of the classic high-impact practices that really works well both in undergraduate, upper division undergraduate, and even graduate courses. All right, and I want to finish off with some changes administratively that we have had in academic affairs. The changes are in red. So in the College of Education, first of all, we have a new department. So now they have 3 departments. Our newest department is the Department of Educational Leadership and Human Development. And underneath that department are 3 programs, which is the MED in Educational Leadership, the new MED in Higher Educational Leadership, and finally the new BS in Exercise Physiology and Human Performance. So that's a new department, and Dr. Morgan Lewing in the back is the new chairperson of the program. So he's got a lot of work with recruitment and getting the word out on these new programs. Dr. Austin Vasic. Dr. Vasic, are you here today? Yes. Dr. Vasic is the chairperson of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and Sam Fiala continues as chair of Counseling and Psychology. In the College of Business, we already talked about certainly Dean Garner being Dean Emeritus. Dr. Lucas Loafman will be stepping in as interim dean of the College of Business Administration, and that starts effective this fall semester. Dr. Loafman was serving as associate dean. He stepped into the interim dean position. Barb Altman then falls to the interim associate dean. This is not confusing to you. It took us a while to get our heads around it. And because Dr. Loafman left his position as chairperson, then Dr. Brad Allman took over his position of chair of Department of Management and Marketing. Fortunately, we have stability still in Dr. Kalk, and Dr. Neetha Chenamanini is chairs of the other 2 departments. All right, in the College of Arts and Sciences, not so much change, but we are pleased to welcome Dr. Mary Catherine Sanders, Katie, as you've mentioned, who's our chairperson and director of the nursing program. My new boss. Then we had some changes. As many of you know, Isaiah Vance has left. He is now working for James Hallmark System, and trust me, I gave James Hallmark the look and said, quit stealing all of our good people. But he is working at Relis now, and so we had an opportunity to do a lot of changes. I think the first big change you need to know is we have decentralized undergraduate advising. You know, it's been centralized in one location. What we're doing is moving the advisors into the colleges. And so they'll be there at each of the colleges. I think it's certainly made the colleges very happy. I think it'll be very convenient for students to be able to go there for their advising. But now they're very decentralized, and how do you ensure quality when you have all the advisors decentralized? So we're going to be forming an academic advising council, and this council will meet with all the advisors and take a look at several things. First of all, making sure all the advisors are following the CAS standards, which are standards, probably the best standards out there for academic advisors, for quality academic advising. Making sure that they follow the NACADA statement of core values so we have the same ethical platform. The group will also come together to talk about, as we have new degree programs, as we have new academic procedures and policies, so making sure everybody is up to date on the changes that happen rapidly in any university. And of course, we can't leave anything without thinking about assessment and evaluation. How effective are our advising services, especially as we make this change? And so that group will be taking a look at assessment of academic services. So that's a change in advising. Then we have some, what I call more functional areas that are going to be moving to enrollment management. And primarily, you're going to see enrollment management oversee the academic calendar. Makes sense. Going to oversee the catalog, and they will maintain what curriculum has been approved through the University Curriculum Committee. They'll maintain it in the student information system through Banner and through DegreeWorks, and they'll also maintain the articulation agreements. So they'll be doing a lot of the technical work over those. And finally, you know, we're spending a lot more time and attention to marketing, and Clifton will be hiring up to 3 student interns to really work with academic marketing of these new programs. Looking at social media, web stuff, we're really excited about that. And it's a great opportunity for our students to get some real life experience. All right. In academic affairs, many of you know that we just recently lost Yvette Milo. She had a wonderful career opportunity. She's now the president of San Antonio's, executive assistant. This is our 3rd time we've had a change in somebody who does credentialing. And it's very hard teaching somebody to do credentialing. So San Fernay has said she is going to take that on. I still check her pulse every day to make sure she is still living, because it is a huge, huge job. But one of the things she's going to be doing is moving our credentialing to an electronic format, so I think that will expedite the process. So faculty and chairs and deans, you're going to see a change as that moves more electronically. Dr. Schilke, I have 12 direct reports, and it has been very hard for me to keep up with all the meetings and getting my evaluations done on time. So I had a lot of talks with Dr. Kirk, and Dr. Kirk is going to pick up 2 of my direct reports, not because they are any less important to the Office of the Provost, but because they are so important, they need more direct, somebody who can, more support. So anyways, Dr. Schilke and Dr. Lisa Bunkowski will report to Dr. Kirk. The colleges now, Isaiah Vance did this, the colleges will now be responsible for overseeing academic suspensions, which is really where they should live. Dr. Kelly Coote is going to be taking over academic procedures and policies. Since I have not been as good at that as I should be, she's going to help out with that. And we're going to continue to do further realignment of functional areas, and I'll send out notices as we make any further changes. But those are the big changes going on right now in academic affairs. And lastly, we'll take a look at what our priorities are for the upcoming year. Our QEP is going to be our big project now that it was approved, and approved with accolades by our on-site visiting team. Dr. Lisa Bunkowski will be assuming the leadership for the implementation of the plan and the oversight of the QEP impact report. And the 5th year impact report, of course, goes to Dr. Kirk as our SAC COC liaison. We are going to continue to strengthen existing degree programs. Many of you know that we have program reviews done on all undergraduate, graduate programs. These are so important for us determining, are they meeting the standards that they want to meet? Are they current? Are they accurate? Are they rigorous? And so we'll continue to work with program review and working with faculty so we can have the best academic programs out there. We have some stunning programs. As a matter of fact, I've been very impressed with the reviews. But every time we've had a review, the faculty have come up with, let's try this, or maybe this course is not as needed as this course. And so they're really great for really taking a critical look at what we're doing, how it matches with, shall we say, industry standards or educational standards, and what can we do to continually improve. We are almost through with finishing up our first time frame for our academic master plan. And so that plan will be evaluated, and we'll start looking at the development of our next academic master plan. And then this is lastly, this is a requirement of the coordinating board. Each degree program needs to have marketable skills. Matter of fact, as you do any new degree programs, that's already part of the new degree program application, you have to identify what are the marketable skills that your students are going to develop after completing the program. So we will be working with academic programs on identifying and communicating their marketable skills. And that is my very quick 15-minute overview of academic and student affairs. And so now I'm going to turn the microphone over to President Igliazzo.
I'm going to go over here. Tatiana, she in the room. Keep an eye on me. Oh, just pop it. Thank you. Good morning. If I look a little sleepy this morning, it's because I kept rolling over on the dog last night. And that's it for the day, folks. Now we have this amazing little puppy that since her first night in our household decided she was going to sleep in bed with my wife and I. How she manages to survive night after night as we roll from one side of the bed to the other. I feel her moving around, and she's got this habit of burying herself under the covers at the foot of the bed, and I know there's some big feet down there. I feel her moving around a little bit, but so far, so good. It's real easy, folks. It's real easy for me, especially at a time when we start talking about the next legislative session. It's real easy for me to get my head down and get ready for what's coming and get worried. And how are we going to manage this, and how are we going to manage that, and how are we going to convince them of this? And then I come to an event like this, and I sit over there, and I looked at all those new folks who were lined up here, faculty and staff. And I see their enthusiasm, and I see their clear ability to do the jobs they've been hired to do. And I've seen their excitement at being a part of this place. And that's what allows me to come up here and talk to you today. And to try to give you a sense of where we are and where we might be headed. But more than anything else, that whatever the ultimate outcome is, it must be something that we control. Now, I want you to think about that. That we control. It's real easy to say, well, the legislature's doing this and the legislature's doing that, and believe me, they do a lot. It would be real easy to just back off and say there's not much else we can do. And I find myself every now and then sort of just wanting to say, to hell with it. But if I said that, I'd be saying to hell with this institution. And I will never do that. We started out as an institution that came into being because we fought to come into being. Folks did not want it to happen. There was opposition. The legislature was a big part of it. The first time a bill passed to make us happen, the governor refused to sign it. So it's not like we didn't grow out of some struggles. And we've done a great job. I mean, I think back to those days in that wonderful old building on the CTC campus, when if you literally turned around in your office, you ended up face to face with the person next to you. I remember when Troy Kerrville, and a number of you still remember Troy, was literally in a closet on the back side of the small office that was the president's office. And we bumped into each other a lot. But you know, that was a good thing. That was a good thing. And even though we're still a small institution by some estimations, we've taken on some of the character of larger institutions, and that is with the proliferation of assigned responsibilities and the creation of offices and the growth in those areas. Instead of doing this, we've tended to do this. We've tended to spread out. We don't necessarily engage as much as we once did. We don't necessarily have a broad understanding that maybe all of us need to have. So, yes, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the legislative session. I can't do this today without talking about that because it's imminent. It has, in many ways, already started, but it will pick up momentum in a very short period of time. But I hope before I get to the end, we'll focus a little bit more on what we can do as a group, what we can do as a university. All of us, not just the faculty, not just the administrators, staff, and students, what we can do. When we look around, I know everybody's been concerned. I've been concerned about what's happening with enrollments. We've been on a slide now since fall of a year ago. It got worse in the spring, got worse still in the summer, although we expected that because of budget cuts. And it really hasn't rebounded this fall. It's kind of holding its own, down a little bit from fall of a year ago. And we might ask ourselves a little bit, how did we get here? Because I can remember the 3 previous academic years looking at the enrollment doing this every year. And I can remember the last one of those in the spring when Paul Turcotte used to allow me to combine second 8 weeks and spring, the second 8 weeks of the fall with the spring semester, so it would make an even bigger number, even though that's not officially the way we were reported. And that number was getting real close to 2,900 students. And I said, man, 3,000 is right there. And 3,000 is kind of a magic plateau for us to reach, one of many that this institution will reach over time. But it's an important step for us. And then all of a sudden things started going in the other direction. Some of it started in the legislative session when the legislature literally went on attack against higher education. I can't describe it any other way. I'm sure our legislators, many of them, would not appreciate my using that word. But there was constant discussion about too much cost, too much student debt. What is the real marketability of a college degree anymore? Does it really have a marketability? All the questions really have been answered for those who are willing to listen to the answers. A college degree still is valuable. still means a greater opportunity across the lifespan of those individuals who complete a college degree. But yet we were constantly in that issue. And the strong issue that the way to reduce the state budget was to go to where there is the largest amount of discretionary funds, which is higher education. And the cuts were made. Significant cuts. The idea was, well, all of these universities have got these things called exceptional items or special items. They shouldn't have had those for more than a few years. They shouldn't go on year after year after year after year. Let's cut out all exceptional and special items. Folks, our growth fund that was legislated as a part of this institution is an exceptional item. It's called transitional funding. And it was put in there so that we could grow this place. And it's not that we didn't argue against it, because we did. And thankfully, the House did ultimately have some influence on the Senate and managed to keep the cuts at 10% or somewhat less. Unfortunately, we were one of the 11 schools in the state that got the full 10% cut. Now, that was 10% of our overall budget. What it meant to us in terms of actual reduction in our operating funds is approximately $4.6 million over 2 years. And when we first looked at that, I thought, how are we ever going to survive that? Guess what? There are things that we're not real happy about, like no compensation increases. Guys, you don't have to keep slipping the slips under my door in the middle of the night. I'm well aware. I'm well aware and concerned. But we did manage to respond. We tried to keep employment as stable as we could. We tried to maintain program integrity. We tried to shift the greatest part of the impact to summer school. And that's where the largest part of it fell. Since all of this took place, just what Dr. Gray Vickery went through here just a few minutes ago is a good indication of the number of programmatic realignments that have occurred. Reductions in size, more team-based operations. We've gone from about 5 or 6 people that once did marketing and communications down to basically 2 full-time people and a lot of help from mostly staff in my office, but not just my office, other offices across the institution. We have gone through course section reductions every semester in order to hold the cost down. And as I've already said, we've seen what the impact may be. Well, let me just read this to you as I wrote it last night. In spite of all of that, we prepared 2 balanced budgets for 18 and 19. We built a 3rd building. We have restructured much of our curriculum. And one of the things that I am most, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel good. We have done a remarkable job of restructuring our curriculum to be the curriculum that is needed in this region and for the future. And I guess what my plea is to the legislature, give us a chance to make it work. Because when you look at all we have dropped and those new programs that are coming online that we have added, it's pretty remarkable. But we still sit back and we wait to see what the next legislative session is going to bring. Some time ago, Tatiana brought me a little present from one of her travels. And it's a little gold container that's got a number of cards in it. And they have all sorts of upbeat statements on them. And I've found myself lately, when I'm especially concerned or down, is to go over there and pull a card out of there. So I thought, hey, let me pull a card this morning. It says, believe in miracles. I'm not sure that's encouraging. Because we're going to have to be the miracle workers if those miracles are going to happen. So far, we have not had to significantly use our reserves. We have not attempted to shrink travel. We have not systematically delayed new hires. And we have not planned for a reduction in force. But that's a list, and being as honest with you as I must be, that's a list that we're going to have to start working on, hoping never to get to that last one. To work our way back around, to be able to do something with compensation, even if it's only a one-time compensation award. It's probably going to take a combination of reductions in some of those areas and a dip in reserves. You say, well, we got reserves, why aren't we using them? Because, folks, your compensation, your jobs have to be continuously funded, not funded for 1 year. Because when you go into reserves, that's what you're going after. You're going after one-time funding for something. Because once it's gone, it's gone. And it doesn't replenish itself the next year, as we hope state legislative funding would replenish itself year to year. So as we get ready to go into the session, you heard Dr. Carter Harn mention that the legislative appropriation request has already been completed, at least in its initial stage. It's been looked at and looked at and looked at and looked at by system. It will now start being looked at by the legislature, the Legislative Budget Board. September the 18th, we have our first hearing in which we have to go forward and try to defend what we have put out there. Well, there are a few positives. Given what we've seen in the last legislative session, it's hard to bank on them, but there are a few positives out there. Normally, we have been asked to submit a legislative request with a cut already in it. Send us your budget for next year with a 4% cut or with a 10% cut. We were not asked to do that. Now, I was asked to write what would happen to us if we took another 10% cut. I don't want any of you in here to read that. I don't like going back and rereading it myself. It was relatively short, actually, because most of the things that we can do that don't involve cutting to the bone, we've already done. But we weren't asked going in to give us your budget request with a 4% cut or a 10% cut in it. There was no initial elimination of hold harmless. Now, some of you remember, and I'm not trying to get too detailed here so that you really don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But when we got the budget cuts last year, we had a pot of money that was called hold harmless. If they had put that in, our cut would have been more than 10%. If they had done the cut the way they wanted to do it, it would have been more than 10%. And for us, it's about $750,000 over 2 years. For some of our sister institutions, that hold harmless is in the millions. Now, some of them are a lot larger than we are. But the fact that that exceptional item funding is still what was being targeted there. We were fearful going in that they would ask us, when you do your legislative appropriation request, go ahead and remove the hold harmless, cut it. We were not asked to do that. We also know there's going to be some strong support for what is being called performance-based funding. Higher Ed Coordinating Board has pushed that heavily for years, never gotten anywhere with it. In the interim, it got some legs. And if it were to go as the Coordinating Board is proposing it, it basically says for every graduate, you would get a certain amount of funding, $1,000. And for every graduate that is at risk, you get an additional $500. How many of you know what percentage of our graduates are considered to be at risk? Paul, you don't count. I mean, you do count, Paul, but it's over 70%. How that funding would be plugged in, whether it would just substitute for part of the formula, likely. But it could be positive for us. There was also in the interim some strong emphasis on increasing the small institution supplement. We receive $750,000 a year under the title of Small Institution Supplement. The larger you get, the more that goes away. But during the interim discussions, there was a lot of discussion in the House Higher Ed and Senate Higher Ed that we're probably not funding the smaller institutions as well as we should. Tier 1s have all sorts of resources that they can draw on. But the general academics, we're probably not funding, so maybe the supplement should be larger. Nobody has said how much larger. And maybe it should go on for a period of time. Some suggested until the school gets to 15,000 students. Sounds good to me. Some have even said until it gets to 20,000 students. But we'll see if that gets any focus. And we were permitted, although we've been told unless we're asked about it, don't bring it up during the hearing. And I can tell you, we're not going to be asked about it. But we put it in nevertheless, the encouragement of the system. We asked for $4 million of that 4.6 back. You won't believe what I'm about to say, but this was dictated by the system as an exceptional item request. We were told to ask for the money back. But don't say you're asking for the money back. So, I think I'm a pretty good writer, but I'm not a magician. The way we did it was to focus on that curriculum redevelopment. What will we need in resources to build these new programs, to hire the faculty, provide support staff, provide operating funds? And that's what we built that on. So those are more positive things than we saw going into the last session. But I have to tell you in all candor, that's no guarantee that anything is going to change when the bell rings and we start this process again. More cuts are possible. A difficult session is being projected, and political support will be essential, which we have been working on every day that we can in terms of getting political support. So I could stop right here and leave you all thinking, wow, what a downer. Thought he's supposed to give us something uplifting. Guys, I can't give you anything uplifting unless I first make sure you understand the reality of the situation. What is our greatest potential liability right now as an institution in terms of legislative impact? It's our enrollment. It is our enrollment. Because the lion's share of the funding, in our case, which also unfortunately gets wrapped into that exceptional item transitional fund, but it is driven by the formula. And the formula is driven by numbers. Student contact hours. And right now, that's a real liability for us. I did a quick and rough, Paul, calculation of where we are right now compared to where we were going into the last legislative session. And conservatively, we're probably somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 semester credit hours behind where we were going into that last session. Well, what is, if that's our greatest liability, what's our greatest potential for having a positive control, a positive outcome that we have any control of? It's our enrollment. It is our enrollment. Now, there is only one way we're going to address this. And that's that every one of us, number one, understands its critical nature. And that every one of us understands that in whatever role we play in this institution, we play a role in driving those numbers up. I had a lengthy conversation not long ago with my good friend, Dr. Lopeman. We are still good friends, aren't we, Lucas? Lucas actually has done a lot of thinking about this challenge and ways that it might be addressed. And he pulled together the two other deans. And he pulled Clifton into the discussion. And ultimately the other day we got the vice presidents at the table and he got me at the table. We talked around this idea of what can we do as an institution to control what we can control. I don't care how bad we want it. I don't care how hard we work. We do not control the legislature. We're one of a number of voices. And higher education is not the only issue. You know, I tell people all the time when they talk about our legislators and whether they're being as effective as they should be, and I remind people, 2 minutes after I leave their office, or you leave their office talking about higher education, somebody else comes in there and talks about water issues. Or somebody else comes in there and talks about whatever, 100 issues, 1,000 issues. And their time gets divided. They're not always sitting there thinking of us. But we can influence them. We can influence them. We have influenced them. And we will continue to work at that. But I think our move now is, what can we control? What can we do? Maybe it was just in the blur of being sleepy. But here's some things I jotted down last night. Obviously, the first one would be no surprise. We have to come together as an institution. We have to share our lack of understanding and frustration just as much as sharing our knowledge and our success. What is the solution, as opposed to who's at fault? If you were to ever ask me, what is the one thing aggravates you more than anything else in all your time as an administrator? It's one group of people wanting to point their fingers at another group of people and saying, those people are not doing their job. If they would do their job, my operation would be working. I don't know any quicker way to have a divisive environment than to try to do it that way. And I know sometimes it is just out of frustration. It's just out of, I don't see things changing. I don't see my issues being addressed. Well, I'm going to appeal to you. And I'm going to let a lot of other people play a role in this, beginning with Lucas and the group that he's been working with, to pull us together this year with that enrollment goal out there ahead of us, to find a way to move forward and to move those numbers. And we've got to value each other, folks. You know, I know you think, oh, geez, that's, Nigliazzo, you're full of platitudes. I'm sorry, guys. I still think there's truth there. We've got to value each other as co-workers, and we've got to value each other's roles and responsibilities in this institution. Everybody's roles and responsibility. Thinking about that long line of individuals we saw up here just about an hour or so ago. All new, all coming into the institution. Everything they know, everything they can contribute to this institution, and foremost, everything they can contribute to the benefit of our students is of value. We've got to get to a point to where we don't miss opportunities. Now, this is a trite one, but it's a true one. See somebody wandering around in the hall, looking definitely lost. You got two choices. You can just walk by and go on and do whatever it is you were headed to do. Or you can stop and say, can I help you? Oh, you want to enroll in a course. Well, I'm not the person to talk to. You'll have to go find so-and-so. As opposed to, follow me, let me show you where to go. Now, that's a trite example, guys, but in many ways and in more complex fashion, it's kind of the attitude that we have to have. If we want students to come here, if we want them to see the value in what we are doing, then we've got to never lose sight of their value. This is what it's all about. Yeah, I want all you faculty to be able to feel that you are doing something valuable in the classroom and that your research is important. But what I want you to do more than anything else, and what I want every one of the rest of you in here to do more than anything else, we exist because the students are here. And they've got to know we care about them. Now, I know students can be cantankerous. Faculty can kind of be cantankerous sometimes too. That doesn't mean we don't love them. That doesn't mean we don't see the value in having them. We've also got to try to move away from being afraid of somebody asking you, why are we doing it like this when we might be able to do it like this? Not being fearful that, oh my God, somebody's criticizing what I'm doing. I'm under enough pressure as it is. Why is he doing that? Well, unfortunately, presidents do that all the time. And we get ignored sometimes. We've got to be open to people asking, why are we doing it like this? Maybe you learn the answer for the first time and you say, oh, okay, great. Or maybe you think, well, could we do it like this? Don't be fearful. I know it kind of comes with the territory when you're the president, that if you ask that question to somebody, the next little rumor you hear is, am I about to lose my job? You know how many people I've fired since I've been president of this university 8 years ago that I have fired? You'll probably fault me for the answer. 0. I'm always looking for the talent, guys. And in looking for the talent, I sometimes am willing to overlook the faults I may be facing. I'm looking for the commitment. And in this institution, throughout its history, there's always been commitment. Always been here. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't there. We wouldn't be in this building or the new building or anything else at this point. We've got to continue to engage our partner colleges because we are a model which some, including our own chancellor and our own chairman of the board, who had some issues at one time about why are we doing what we're doing. Mr. Schwartz, for those who were at commencement, was at our last commencement. They are coming around to the idea that we're not this strange place. We may be a very special place. We may be doing something that is very timely for what's going on with education and the demands for it and the cost of it. and the opportunity that needs to be expanded. There's this thing out there called 60 by 30 Texas. It's a challenge to the state of Texas that we must dramatically increase the educational level of the workforce by 2030 if the state wants to stay competitive. We are not getting there. University of Texas and Texas A&M and Texas Tech and the other big schools are not going to move that needle. They are selective admissions institutions. And not that they don't have first-time in college students, they do. But it is not the same as in the general academics that we are a part of. If that needle is going to move, it's going to move because schools like ours, the other general academic institutions, were able to bring in more students who might not have thought of college as an option. But not only do they see it as an option, they're now college graduates. I mean, Dr. Close has been starting this signature series of letting these students tell their stories. Stories are amazing, and we've got hundreds of them. We've done a lot of work with the community colleges. We've got to maintain that engagement. We're going to have a great opportunity when the early college high school graduates its first class next May, around 150 students. Mr. Yiannopoulos, the chancellor over there, says, Mark, the way to attract some of those students is that they got to see you people. They got to see your faculty, they got to see your staff, they got to see your students. That's how many of them will make their decision about what they want to do after they walk away with that high school diploma and that associate degree at the same time. We had a mixer over there not long ago for the Chamber of Commerce, and they had 7 early college high school students there. And at the appropriate time, when things sort of settled down a little bit, I went over and talked to each one of them. One young man I walked up to, he's the one I love the most. I was reaching out to shake his hand, and he said, "Don't worry, sir, I'm coming." I said, "Well, let me shake your hand even harder." Those students love to be attracted. They love to be able to engage. And I know, guys, I know I haven't completely forgotten when I was a faculty member. And I'm focused on my class, and I'm focused on preparing for that. And I think, well, do I really have time to get out and recruit students? Guys, it's something we've got to find our way to do, because let me tell you, in many cases, a faculty member going in and talking to those students can have a greater impact than anything I can ever say. Because they start saying, well, if that's what the faculty are like over there, maybe that's where I want to go. I mean, we've already seen the Pied Piper effect take place in programs like the biology program. Because I still have some reasonably good connections with Temple College. There are students lining up because other students are saying, well, if you go over there, this is a great place. You get a great degree. You get to use all that fancy equipment. You actually get to put your hands on it. You're being engaged by the faculty. You're given great opportunities. It's the place to come. There probably are all kinds of strategies that could be used to move the needle. But folks, we've got to do it together. Does that mean we're going to all meet every week? I wish we could, but you know that isn't possible. I'm going to work around the initiative that Dr. Loafman has already begun. Let him sort of put together a small task force that will certainly include the deans and some other folks that they've already discussed with this. And they're not out there to say, we're fact-finding and then we're going to come to you and we're going to tell you what you ought to be doing. I don't think that's what you want to do, Lucas. What he's going to be attempting to do is to bring all of the different elements of the institution to the table. To say what needs to work here, what needs to be better aligned. Wow, I didn't even know you guys were doing that. If I'd have known that, I could have used that to promote to my students. To engage as an institution and control what we can control. This is something we can control. This is something we can have an impact on. And if you say, well, Dr. Nigliazzo, I didn't really sign on to do that. And guys, you're in the wrong place. Because in many ways, the institution was built this way. And if we're going to move it past this rub that we're going through right now, it's the way we're going to have to continue to move forward. Let me mention just 4 bullet points real quick. These are not platitudes. These are just items. Things that can have a very positive impact on our future. Point in the wrong direction. That brand new building going up out there is one of them. And let me respond one more time to people who have asked me, well, Dr. Nigliazzo, why didn't we use that money to run the institution? Because, folks, we don't get to use that money to run the institution. You get that money, you get those what are called capital, now they're called capital project funding. Used to be called tuition revenue bonds, which was a misnomer also. They can only be used for one thing, that's to build a facility. You've got to be able to figure out how to run it. And if we had said, when the list was being created, well, we don't want that institution, we don't want that building. You know how long we would be waiting before we had another one? That building will have impact. It is a very unique facility. It's going to give us some options that we've not had before in engaging students to use in alignment with everything else that we're doing. Student housing. Brandon's been working his butt off. Engaged with a privatized housing group that we were recommended to by the A&M system. Talk about the potential of having our first student housing on this campus. And the potential is very real. In fact, we've come a long way in the discussion down to a plan of how it could happen. But we backed off for the moment until we get a little better picture of what the legislative session is doing before we launch into that. Could student housing make a difference? Absolutely, it could. Third thing, you heard Dr. Porter mention the research part. That also is a potential reality. We're working it every way we can. The fact that we are doing some serious research here has opened that door. But we've also got a community, folks. Now listen, you may think that we've got some budget challenges. I received a briefing the other day from the city manager of the city of Killeen. Now, there are some challenges. One of the challenges is that Killeen is growing rapidly, but it's growing primarily rooftops and retail. And you can't build the infrastructure of the city on rooftops and retail. There must be industry. There must be larger opportunities. That's why the Economic Development Corporation has been eager to work with us on trying to push forward the idea of a research park. Because it's not just what it could do for us, but it's also what it could do for the community. And we're going to sell it any way we can, guys. And one of the ways we sell it is to go to College Station and say, here's what's in it for you. Bring an element of the RELIS development here. You want to engage the military? We're across the street from them. You want to have greater opportunities with Fort Hood, with the Operational Test Command? Do it here. So that research park has tremendous potential. And final thing, we have an extremely active and increasingly successful foundation supporting this institution. Some of you know, most of you don't, our foundation existed before we were a university. It formed itself to try to, number one, raise scholarship funds. But it is growing in potential to attract major donors. And one of the things high on my list is endowed fellowships, not an endowed chair, guys, because you know what an endowed chair costs, and you only serve one faculty member when you do that. We're nowhere near that. But endowed fellowships for faculty that would allow them to supplement their compensation and expand their capability. And they like the idea a lot. There is work going on behind the scenes with potential major donors. Sooner or later, we'll have an impact on this place. So I don't want anybody leaving the room today saying, woe is me. Yes, we are challenged. When have the warriors of this institution not been challenged? It's part of our DNA. Yes, we have opportunities. And we're going to try to find a way to accelerate those opportunities. Together. Together. And I know by saying it 3 times, 10 times, 20 times, saying it louder and louder won't make any difference, folks, unless you guys are willing to take it to heart and work to try to make it happen. I can't go out. I won't, because I know it's not appropriate. I can't go out to each of you and say, you will do this. I mean, what good would that be? I'm asking you. I'm asking you on behalf of the institution, the students, our ability to go forward. We can control our destiny. It may look a little blurry from time to time, but we can control it. I appreciate your patience today. I appreciate what you do every day. And there are a whole lot of new people out here that I haven't even met. And I feel badly about that, because the grayer my hair gets, the harder it is for me to remember your names. But I appreciate what you do, and I am not oblivious to what you do. And I know that there is the only possibility for us to do all those things we hoped to do when we came here. I don't want any of you new guys who just came in here to say, oh, hell, maybe I'm in the wrong place. You're not. We need you. We need you. We need you to be engaged. Let's have a great fall semester, and let's make this work. Thanks to all of you. As Dr. Gray Vickery said, we gave you a little bit to drink. We didn't give you any food. We want you lean and mean when you go out of here. Have a great rest of the day.